You are the architect of your life. That's not just a motivational phrase. It's a quiet truth that governs every inch of your experience, whether you acknowledge it or not. Every day, every choice, every small decision is another brick in the structure you're building. The question is, are you building with intention or just stacking bricks because someone else handed them to you? Too many people wake up and let life happen to them. They wake up without a plan, go to a job they didn't choose, tolerate relationships that drain them, and go to bed feeling like something is missing. Then they repeat the cycle. It's not that they lack ability, it's that they gave up the pen. They stopped designing. Somewhere along the line, they surrendered their role as the architect and became the tenant in a house built by circumstance. But here's the truth, and nobody else is going to build it for you. If you don't design the life you want, you will default to life someone else thinks you should live. That's the silent danger. Not just bad luck or misfortune, but drifting. Drift far enough and you wake up one day in a life that feels foreign, wondering how you got there. And the answer is simple. You didn't design it. Designing your life doesn't mean having every step figured out. It means knowing what kind of life would light you up inside, what kind of character you want to build, what kind of work gives you purpose, what kind of people you want to walk with. It's not about controlling the future. It's about directing it. It's about declaring this is the direction I choose, and then walking toward it with eyes open and hands ready. Now, architects don't start with walls and windows. They start with vision, a rough sketch, a dream on paper. It's the same with life. You need to be bold enough to imagine the life you want, even if it doesn't look like your current reality. And yes, it might be messy. It might feel like the pieces don't fit. But clarity is born in the act of creating. Vision grows as you build. Confidence comes not before the action, but after it. Some people say, well, that sounds good, but life's not in my control. And they're right. You can't control the weather, the economy, or what other people do, but you can control what you do about it. You can control your habits, your attitude, your associations, your direction. The architect doesn't control the wind or the rain, but they build with it in mind. They adapt the design to the conditions. They don't quit because the ground is rocky. They adjust the foundation. The same applies to you. Being the architect of your life also means taking full responsibility. That's not always comfortable, but it's powerful. When you blame others, you give away your creative power. When you take ownership, even of the mistakes, you reclaim the ability to shape what happens next. And that's where the magic begins. So here's the quiet question life asks every day. Are you designing or are you just tolerating? Because tolerating is easy. Designing takes thought. It takes courage. But it's the only way to build something worth living in. No one else can dream your dream. No one else can build your path. The pencil's in your hand. The blueprint's waiting. Draw something bold. Drifting is dangerous. It sounds harmless, even peaceful. The idea of going with the flow, letting life carry you where it may. But what seems like surrender is often just silent surrender to decay. When you drift, you're not coasting through life. You're sliding away from your potential without even realizing it. You're not being guided by wisdom or intention. You're being pulled by whatever current is strongest that day. The problem with drifting is it doesn't look like failure at first. It looks like comfort. It looks like delay. It sounds like I'll figure it out later. Or let's see where things go. You convince yourself that you're staying open-minded, that you're being flexible, but day by day the drift takes over. You begin to make decisions not out of purpose, but out of convenience. You say yes to things you don't really want. You stay in places that don't grow you. And one morning you wake up far from where you meant to be, not because you chose it, because you didn't choose anything. The danger of drifting is that it happens in silence. There are no alarms, no sharp turns, no sudden warnings. It's a slow, steady slide into mediocrity. One compromise here, one delay there, and before you know it, you've traded your vision for a vague hope that things will just work out. But here's the hard truth. Life doesn't reward intentions. It rewards direction. And direction doesn't happen by accident. Think of a ship without a captain. It doesn't just float happily under the stars. It gets pulled by tides, pushed by storms, and spun around by waves it can't control. It doesn't reach new shores. It goes in circles or crashes into rocks. That's exactly what happens when you drift. You lose control of your future, and you begin to react instead of create. Your life becomes a series of responses to external pressures instead of internal convictions. And drifting doesn't just steal your goals. It dulls your spirit. You start to accept less, not because you believe it's right, but because you've forgotten what striving feels like. You stop stretching. You stop imagining. You stop fighting for the best version of your life and settle for what's good enough. But here's the thing. You were not designed for good enough. You were built for growth, for direction, for forward motion. There's a quiet strength that comes when you stop drifting and start deciding. It begins with a question. Where do I actually want to go? It doesn't require you to know every detail. It only demands that you stop living on autopilot. That you wake up and realize that no, decision is still a decision and it's costing you. The people who build great lives aren't lucky. They're intentional. They don't let the tide decide. They steer. They adjust. They correct the course when needed. But they never let go of the wheel. And when storms come, because they don't panic. They know where they're headed. They have a compass. That's the power of living with direction instead of drifting. So if you've been floating, stop. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now plant your feet. Take back the wheel. Choose a direction even if it's imperfect. Because drifting may feel easy today, but one day it will ask you for the price. And it's always more than you expected. Off choices shape circumstances. That's the foundation of every meaningful transformation. Null. It's tempting to believe that life is mostly about what happens to us. The deeper truth is that it's about how we respond. And that response is always a choice. Off every day offers a little fox in the road. Most don't look dramatic at first, but over time off they add up and form of your life. The moment you realize this is the moment you reclaim your power off. Life is not a straight line, and it doesn't come with guarantees better choices. But the think what you say, what you do become tools of which you build your reality. Some people are waiting for better circumstances off. They are hoping that the right opportunity will knock, that someday their conditions will shift just enough to give them a chance off. But waiting is really a strategy. The most successful people don't wait for the right moment. They create it off and they do one decision at a time. It starts for small things. Choosing to wake up early and use that extra hour to learn off. Choosing to say no to the easy distraction and yes to the harder but more meaningful task also about your die. No off choosing walk away from supreme people who drain your energy and surround yourself with who elevate your thinking. Off these flashy moments. They are quite consistent choices, but they carry weight and over time off. They tilt at the balance of your life in a new direction. There's a myth that circumstances control destiny. But if that were true off, we'd never see people rise from poverty to success, from failure to fulfillment, from brokenness to strength. Off. History is full of stories where odds were stacked, but the choice were powerful. When someone decides that they will longer tolerate mediocrity, that they will change their habits, raise their standards off, or pursue the dream, the world around them begins to shift slowly at first, then rapidly, of course. Not every choice guarantees a smooth path. Life throws curveballs. You can make a good decision and still face setbacks off. But even then, the next choice is yours. Do you stop or keep going? Do you complain or learn? Do you retreat or rise? In the end, off it's pawns that shapes the outcome, not the situation itself. And the more responsibility you take for your choices, off the less control the outside world has over you. Some people spend their entire lives reacting. They react to the economy, off to the opinions of others, to circumstances they never tried to change. But the most powerful people are proactive. I know, they don't just hope for better circumstances. They shape them. They look at what they control, know, and act on it with discipline and vision, and little by little their choices reshape their reality. There's a saying off, you are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences. Your choices, there's not a warning, that's a gift off it, means your life is not locked in. Place, it means you have influence. You're not polis. You're not stuck off. Every day gives you another chance to aim a little higher, dig a little deeper, and act a little braver. No off. You can't curl every outcome, but you control what you bring the table. And the beauty of it is this, off, the moment when you start making choices is that the line with your vision, your life begins to change. Not all it undeniably off. It doesn't require luck. It doesn't require perfection. Off. It just requires that you choose and keep choosing the path that builds the future you want off. Because when your choices shape your life, your circumstances stopping limits and start becoming stepping stones. Off the pain of disciplines or the pain of regret we all face. That's the choice we off. It's not a matter of whether pain will come off. It's a matter of which kind you're willing to endure. One is sharp, purposeful, and temporary. The other is dull, lingering off, no, and heavy. And the difference lies in when you're willing to pay the price now while billing something worthwhile or later off. When you're left wondering what could have been, discipline is rarely glamorous. It asks you to get up when you'd rather stay in bed. Off to say no and temptation wisp. Yes, to do the work even when no is watching. It's the quiet off and seen struggle that most people avoid because it doesn't pay off instantly. It takes consistency. It takes sacrifice or die, no off. It takes saying, but I'm going to choose what's right over what's easy. It's not always fun, but it's always powerful. Discipline demands that you delay gratification. It asks you to resist comfort in favor of growth, risk, or die. North, whether it's saving money instead of spending it in the gym, instead of the couch reading, instead of scrolling, those small off-repeated efforts are the bricks of a better future. They don't feel dramatic in the moment, but over time off they compound into something remarkable. You sham chopper, you become stronger. You'll build momentum. You gain control off, but make no mistake, if you avoid that pain, you don't escape pain entirely, you simply trade it for the pain of regret. That's the cost most people never calculate. Regret doesn't show up with warning lights. It sneaks in quietly. Moth. It lives in the what-ifs, in the missed chances, off the dreams that were once alive, but slowly faded because discipline was too hot or too convenient. And unlike discipline, off-regret doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't shape you. It haunts you. The pain of regret is knowing you could have done more. Off but didn't. It's realizing the window has closed close or the opportunity has passed. Not because it was impossible. Off but because you weren't willing to pay the price when it mattered. It doesn't ask much at first. Just was skip, step off. One more excuse, one more delay. But those tiny choices is repeated over time build a wall that's hard to break through later off. And what's worse, grit doesn't come with a reward. It only leaves you with memory, with longing, and sometimes with bitterness. Off, people often think they can avoid both, that they'll take easy now and somehow regret later. But life doesn't work that way. Often enough, you either face the discomfort of pushing yourself now, the disappointment of settling later. It's one or the other. Off, the pain of discipline is real, yes, but it's also empowering. It means you're in motion. It means you're growing off. It means you're refusing to live a life on default. The truth is, no escape struggle off, but you get choose a struggle that builds or a struggle that breaks. Discipline builds character, self-respect, and results. Regret tears at your confidence and drains your energy. And when you look back on your life, are bore or die, you will remember the comfort of a lazy afternoon, but you will remember the goals. You gave up on the dreams you delayed too long, often the times you let fear or apathy win. So ask yourself, which coat's pain are you choosing to every moment? Every choice off is casting vote for the life you will have tomorrow. Choose the pain that pays off. Choose the discomfort that leads to pride off. Choose the effort that leads to freedom. That's where real all satisfaction lives. Not in avoiding pain off, but in embracing the kind ace that takes you somewhere better. Vision is power. It's the unseen force that pulls you forward. Off, the internal compass that gives your efforts meaning and direction. Without vision, life becomes a series of rotations. Obligations off and reactions with life becomes a mission. You're no longer wandering. You're moving with purpose off. You're not just busy. You're aligned. The strength of your vision determines the strength of your path, because what you see in your mind shapes what you do in your day. People often underestimate the value of a clear vision. Hang us ever, but you're enough. They think it's just dreaming, just wishful thinking. But vision is far more than a fantasy. It's the foundation of all achievement. Off, before anything meaningful is built in the world. It's built first in the mind. Every great business, every meaningful movement, off. Every powerful life story began as an idea, a picture of something better, something different, something worth reaching for. Off, the traded momentum. It inspired action. It gave people a reason to enjoy when distractions pull, when doubts creep in. Oh no. When the path gets difficult, a strong vision keeps you centered. It becomes the filter through which you make your decisions. Off, you begin to ask yourself, or does this move me closer to where I want to go? Off, or does it pull me off course? That's the kind of clarity most people are missing. They are busy but directionless, acting off but not effective. That's what happens when you move without vision. Effort gets wasted. Time gets spent. And at the end at all, there's no real progress. When your vision is strong, it becomes bigger than the obstacles. It doesn't remove the struggle, but it gives the struggle meaning. You're longer avoiding discomfort. You're willing to face about your die, no off, because there's something on the other side that matters deeply to you. People without vision tend to quit easily off because they haven't seen far enough ahead to believe it's worth fighting for. But those with vision, they endure. They falling enough, but they get back up. They don't lose sight of what they are working toward. Even when the world doesn't understand, vision also has a strange power to attract the right people and opportunities. When you're clear on where you're going off, it becomes easier for others to spot you. You join you or open doors for you, and certainty repels progress off. But Claire creates connection. People are drawn to purpose. And when you live with vision, enough. You speak with a kind of conviction that makes others believed. You begin to operate at a higher frequency, enough, and that shift changes the people and possibilities around you. Of course, vision isn't something you always start with formed off. It often begins as a whisper of restlessness, a quiet sense that your quiet's current reality isn't the full story. That's enough off. Start with that. Write it down. Explore it. Let evolve enough. Vision isn't about predicting every detail. It's about having a picture in your mind that excites you, challenges you abort and calls you higher. It's about seeing something before it exists and having the courage to pursue it when no one else does. When you lose vision, you lose motivation. When you strengthen it, you unlock power. Vision gives energy to your work, off structure to yours and meaning to journey. It's what separates people who drift from those who design off, because if you can see it clearly, you've toward it daily. Vision loud, but it's always leading off the Sabi. The stronger become, it becomes the stronger you become. That's the quiet truth behind every remarkable life. It started with a vision off and someone brave enough to follow.